Follow this guide to set up your DECT control system to control RGB or RGBW lights, just like you see here in this video demonstration. Here is an example of a standard 12-volt RGB rope light. Zooming in further, these lights typically have solder pads where you can cut, splice, or solder wires to. These pads are also identified as shown in this example with 12-volt positive, G, R, and B. Here is an example of a standard 12-volt RGBW rope light. Zooming in further, these lights typically also have solder pads where you can cut, splice, and solder wires to. These pads are also identified as shown in this example with 12-volt positive, G, R, B, and W. Note that each PDM supports one zone of RGB or RGBW lights. RGB or RGBW lights are connected to connector B only. If you are using RGB lights, the last 4 pins of connector B are used. If you are using RGBW lights, the last 5 pins of connector B are used. Note that when RGB modes are used, these pins are not usable for other circuits while in use by the RGB button. For this RGB connection illustration, make sure your RGB wires are terminated properly before inserting them into the connector. Connect the respective wires as shown here. Pin 9 for 12 volts, pin 10 for the R or red channel, pin 11 for the green or G channel, and pin 12 for the B or blue channel. For this RGBW connection illustration, connect the respective wires as shown here. Pin 8 for 12-volt positive, pin 9 for R or the red channel, pin 10 for G or the green channel, pin 11 for B or the blue channel, pin 12 for W or the white channel. Now that you have connected either RGB or RGBW lights to the PDM, power on the system. Go to Settings and create a new button. Go into the new button, and at the top you'll see the option for a standard button or RGB button. Select the RGB button option. In RGB button settings, you can edit the name of the button, edit the RGB type, and select different modes. Make your selections and then press the green check mark to save your settings. After your settings are saved, navigate back to the home page where you will find your newly created button. Depending on the mode you selected, pressing the button will either manually cycle through the sequenced colors you selected or turn on an auto mode that cycles through the colors. Pressing and holding on the button will pop up a dimming slider to adjust the brightness of the RGB lights. Here you can see the sequence mode is selected and it will cycle through my chosen colors when I press the button. The system will also indicate the brightness level via a color indicator as shown here for quick verification of the brightness level.